everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a lariat necklace and a pair of earrings today using some of the contents of the most recent bargain bead box, the Cloudburst collection. I told y'all when I unboxed this that I felt like I had a lariat in my future. So that's what I'm going to do today. In case you're not familiar, Bargain Bead Box is a monthly subscription of beads and findings. It's $19.49 a month, and that includes shipping in the United States. They have beautiful beads and findings. It's always curated around a different theme each month. And if you're a subscriber to the Bargain Bead Box, you get a 30% off coupon to use in their sister store, Bead Box Bargains. And you can use it as many times as you want to during the month. And they already have great prices. I have a coupon code. It's Teresa2, and I'll put it on the screen here and in the description box below, along with a link to the page to sign up for the subscription if you're interested. The coupon code will save you $2 off your first box if you sign up. I really do believe that this to be a good value box. I've already made 2 necklaces and 2 pairs of earrings, and I'm going to make this lariat and pair of earrings today, and I've still got a lot of beads left, so I really do think it's a good value box. And here I have the 7.5 millimeter by 4 millimeter matte glass cylinder beads in crystal AB. And here I have the 4 millimeter crystal faceted cubic cylinder beads in vitral. And here I have the 8 by 7 millimeter faceted crackled glass lantern beads. And here I have the natural apatite nugget beads. And here I have the natural apatite chip beads. And here I have some findings. I only had 2 of the 7 millimeter English cut half matte crystal beads in slate vitral left. So I'm going to use those. This is going to be around the front of the lariat. I've got one of the crackled glass beads, one of the apatite nugget beads, one of the cylinder beads. This is all the chain that I have left out of the box, so I'm going to use that. I've got one of the 22 millimeter wavy donut links. I've got a couple of the 8 millimeter round donut links that were in the box. I've got some of the jump rings. I've got a head pin from my stash. I've got a couple of wire guards and a couple of 2x2 crimp tubes. I've got some seed beads in there, and it's these, and I don't know, I have once again run up on a tube of seed beads that I don't have labeled, and I don't know why. I always label my seed beads. I don't know how this is happening, but it looks like a copper color to me. It might be like a smoky topaz, but I think it'll work. I've got a few pieces of 22 gauge German style wire, and the color of this says antique brass, but it looks close enough to all this other stuff to me, and I don't have any copper, so I'm going to use this. For my earrings, I'm going to be using 2 of the crackle glass beads, 2 of the apatite nugget beads, a few of the seed beads, a couple of head pins, a couple of eye pins, and I forgot to get out any ear wires, but I'm going to get out a couple of ear wires. I've got my bead stoppers. I've got my soft flix beading wire in fine. This is copper color, but it doesn't really matter. You can use whatever you have. Once you get all the beads on there, you're not going to be able to see the color of the wire anyway. I've got my chain nose pliers, my tweezer pliers, and my round nose pliers. I've got both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. I've got both pairs of my crimping pliers. I use these Zero ones here to do the crimping with, and I use these bead-along ones to, the little part there at the end with the half circles on each side, I use that to tuck in the burrs of my wire when I cut off the wire, the burrs that are left. I've got both pairs of my cutters. I use one pair for bead stringing wire and the other pair for head pins and eye pins and craft wire. And I have my New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in when I cut them off. I think that's everything. Let me get a couple of ear wires out here that I should have already had out and pour some of my beads out, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to start with the front part of my lariat here, and I forgot to say I've got a ruler here because I'm going to have to do some measuring as I go. So first I'm going to take my head pin I'm going to take my Apatite bead and put it on here. I'm going to take my pliers. I'm going to make a wrap loop, so I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers, bend at a 90-degree angle. I'll take my round nose pliers, put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me. I'll bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Hold on tight. Take this part up under here until it hits the bottom of the pliers. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. Like that. Now I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Hold really tight so it doesn't get out of shape. I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers. I'm going to start my wraps. And I'll always try to get that first wrap real tight. And just keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. Now I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and go in that little part at the end there with the half circles on each side. And I'm going to tuck in my little burr that's left where I cut my wire off. Okay, now I'm going to take one of my pieces of my German style wire. This is about a 3.5 inch piece of wire here. I'm going to take my pliers and go down about an inch and a half or so. Bend a 90-degree angle over the pliers. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. I'm going to bend the wire back until it hits the tool. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take the shorter piece under here up against the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire. I'm going to open my loop. Thread on my little link I've already made here. Close my loop back. Take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. And I'm going to wrap the shorter piece of wire around the long piece of wire about 3 times. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to take one of my seed beads, put it on here, and my crackle glass bead, and another seed bead. I'm going to take my pliers, I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers, bend at a 90-degree angle, take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, hold on tight and take this part under here until it's cut up against the bottom of the pliers. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the beads. Take my bent chain nose pliers, and my other pair of bent chain nose pliers. Start my wraps. that first wrap good and tight, and then just wrap till there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and tuck in my little burrs, and you got to be really, really careful here because it's real easy to crack that little seed bead at the end there. And I'll wait until I get both my loops made before I do this part, because I know a lot of people, when they make the first loop, they tuck in their wire that they cut off, but I find it easier to do it if I have something to brace against, like that bead there to brace against. So now I'm going to take another one of my pieces of wire, go down about 1.5 inches or so, bend it at a 90-degree angle over the tool. Round those pliers in the crook of the bend, round those pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the tool, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take the shorter piece of wire up under until it hits the bottom of the pliers, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire, and that usually puts your little piece of wire not entirely straight up, but real close to straight up. I'm going to open my loop. I'll thread on this part that I've already made here. I'll close my loop. I'll take my bent chain nose pliers, hold on to my loop, take the shorter piece of wire and wrap it around the longer piece of wire about 3 times. Now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to put a seed bead one of my English cut beads and a seed bead. I'm going to take my pliers, go to the, I'll straighten this loop up down here, it doesn't look straight to me. I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers, bend at a 90-degree angle, put the round nose pliers in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers so they're facing the table, take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead, take my bent chain nose pliers, hold on to my loop, my other pair of bent chain nose pliers, and start my wraps. Try to get that first wrap good and tight. And just wrap till there's no more room left to wrap. I'm going to cut off my extra wire. Tuck in my burrs very carefully so as not to break my little seed bead. Okay, now I'm going to take another piece of my wire. Go down about 1.5 inches, bend at a 90-degree angle, round those pliers in the crook of the bend, round those pliers facing me, bend bend the wire back until it hits the tool, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take the shorter piece up and under here till it hits the bottom of the tool, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire, open my loop, thread on my chain that I've made so far, close my loop, take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop, take the shorter piece of wire and wrap it around the longer piece of wire about 3 times. I cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to put a seed bead one of these cylinder beads and a seed bead. And I'm going to take my pliers, straighten up my bottom loop because it doesn't seem straight. Look at the very tip of the pliers, make a 90-degree bend over the pliers, put my round nose pliers in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me. I'm going to bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, hold on tight and take this part up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the beads, take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Get my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start wrapping. Get that first wrap good and tight. And just wrap till there's no more room left to wrap. Now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. And take my crimping pliers and very carefully tuck in my little burr without breaking my seed bead. Okay, now I'm going to do this again to this. I don't know if y'all noticed, but one of my little seed beads went flying. I have to get another one out here. I'm going to have to get a bunch more out here in a little bit, but I'm going to go back down another piece of my wire, about 1.5 inches down, make a 90-degree bend. Take my round nose pliers, put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the tool, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take the shorter piece of wire up and under until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire, take my bent chain nose pliers, and I'm going to wrap the shorter piece of wire around the longer piece of wire about 3 times. Cut off the extra wire. Put on my seed bead. My English cut bead. My seed bead. Take my pliers, go to the very tip of the pliers, make a 90-degree bend, round those pliers in the crook of the bend, round those pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, hold on tight, take this part up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead, I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers, my other pair of bent chain nose pliers, start to wrap, and get the first wrap really good and tight. Wrap till there's no more room to wrap. Take my cutters, cut off the extra wire, take my crimping pliers, squish in my little burr very carefully. Okay. Well, I almost got the first part done. I'm gonna take my chain and take the end of it, last loop at one end of it, and open it up. I'm going to thread this on here, close it up, now I need my little 8mm links here. I'm going to take one of my jump rings, and I think these are about, it was a mix of different sizes of jump rings, and I think these are about 6mm. Open up my jump ring, I put it on my loop. Oop. Oh, I almost lost it, but I got it. Thread it onto my loop here. Put one of my little donut links on here. Close up my jump ring really well. I'll take another jump ring. Put it on the other side of my link and put my little link I made with my English cut bead on here. Now I'm going to put this one on here after I get my piece strung up, and then this is going to be this side of my lariat. That can go through the loop like that. So that's my first part of my front part of my lariat. Now I'm gonna, the rest of it will be stringing, so I'm gonna get my beads out and my stringing wire and all. I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna string a portion of this up, and then it'll just be a repeat, and I'll do that off camera. First I need to measure here. I've got about 4 1/4 inches here, and here I've got about 2 inches, so that's 6 1/4 inches. I usually make a lariat about 32 inches, so I'm going to do about 26 inches of stringing. So I'm going to start with 3 of my chip beads. And it takes a minute to get these chip beads on here because they're takes a minute to find the hole. And then I'm going to do one of my crackle glass beads, and then 3 more chip beads. Another crackle glass bead, 3 more chip beads, now I'm going to do a seed bead. One of these cylinder beads here. Another seed bead. I'm going to do 3 more chip beads. And another one of my crackle glass beads. 3 more chip beads. Another crackle glass bead. 3 more chip beads. And then a seed bead, one of my cylinder beads, a seed bead. I'm going to do one of these little cubic, 4mm cubic beads, and a seed bead. And then one of my Apatite nugget beads. And a seed bead. Another 4mm cubic bead. A seed bead. Another one of these cylinder beads. And a seed bead. So this is going to be my pattern. I'm going to start back over after this seed bead here with 3 chip beads, a crackle glass bead, 3 chip beads, crackle glass bead, 3 chip beads, seed bead, cylinder bead, seed bead, 3 chip beads, crackle bead, 3 chip beads, crackle bead, 3 chip beads, seed bead, cylinder bead, seed bead, 4mm cubic bead, cylinder bead, nugget bead, seed bead, 4mm bead, seed bead, cylinder bead, seed bead. And I'm just going to keep doing this pattern all the way along until I get to 26 inches, around about 26 inches. When I get all that strung up, I'll be back. Okay, I've got 25 inches here, and I'm going to have to stop because I don't have enough chip beads left to do another section. This is all the chip beads I have left. But that's okay because I forgot to do this part. I had these laid out here. I meant to put this little link on the other side of my, like that one, and I forgot about it. So that'll take up a little length. So I'm going to take my jump ring. And open it up. And put that on there. Put my little donut link on here. Close it up. I'm going to take my other, well, I'll wait till I get it strung up because I'm going to connect this to the end that, one of the ends that I have crimped. So I'm going to crimp one end here. I got my crimp tube, my wire guardian. I'm going to go down the other side of my wire guardian. Back down my crimp tube. Make sure to try to hold my wires apart. Squish in my little wire guardian. Now see, I'm always telling y'all to be careful with those wire guardians because they're very delicate and easy to destroy, and I think I've just about destroyed one because I was not as gentle as I should have been. Okay, I think I salvaged it, but that was really close. I almost destroyed that. Okay, now I'm going to pull my wire through and hold my wires apart. I'm going to go into the part of the crimping pliers that has the little tooth there, and I'm going to put my tooth on top. I have discovered that that works best. I'll squish. And that puts each of my little wires in its own channel. Now I'm going to go into the second one of the circular parts up here because that's the one for the 2x2 crimp tubes. I'm going to squish and fold my crimp. And I'm going to go down to the one for the 1mm crimp tube and squish again for a little extra security. Now I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to cut my extra wire off. Okay, now I'm going to push all this down and do the other side, and it's going to take me a minute to push all this down because these chips don't want to flow very easily across this bead stringing wire, so I'll be back when I get it all pushed down. Okay, I think I've got it all pushed down now. Now I'm going to crimp my other side here. I'm going to put my crimp tube on, my wire guardian, go down the other side of my wire guardian, back through my crimp tube. Okay, I didn't go back through my crimp tube. Thought I did, but I didn't. Let my wires get crossed. I'm going to take my little wire guardian in a little bit more carefully this time. Now I don't know if I can get, I always try to go through another bead or two on this side, but I don't know if I can get through these chips again or not. Yeah, there we go. I can't tell if I think my wires are crossed. I need to turn around here and get them uncrossed. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to make sure I don't have any slack, which I've already made sure of because it took some doing to get this all pushed down because these chip beads just don't like to flow across the bead stringing wire. Now I'm going to go in, put my little tooth on top again. Squish. Now go in that second one. Squish. And go in the first one and squish. And that's good, thank goodness, because I don't want to have to string all that again. I'll get my cutters. I'm very carefully making sure not to cut the wrong wire, because that would really be bad at this point. Cut off my extra wire. Okay, now I'm going to put this together here. I'm going to take this jump ring, open it, put it on here, and connect this part. I have to open it a little bit more. Close it back up. I'm going to take the end of my chain here and attach it to this side. So that will be a very long lariat. So now I'm going to get my stuff together and make a little pair of earrings. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to make a little pair of earrings now. And I picked out two of the Apatite nuggets that were the most similar. Of course, none of them were exactly the same, but these were the two that were the most similar. So I'm going to put this one on my head pin. I'm going to take my pliers and go to the tip of the pliers. Make a 90-degree turn. Round those pliers in the crook of the pin. Round those pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Hold on tight. Take this part up and under here until it hits the bottom of the pliers. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. And then take my bent chain nose pliers. My other pair of bent chain nose pliers. Wrap. Get that first wrap good and tight. Wrap till there's no more room to wrap. These head pins are pretty stiff. I'll take my cutters. cut off the extra wire. Get my crimping pliers and squish in my little burr. Now I'm going to take, I've got my eye pin here. Take one of my seed beads. One of my crackle beads. One of my seed beads. Take my pliers, go a little bit above the bead because I don't want to crack my little seed bead. Turn it at a 90-degree angle. Cut off and leave about 1/4 of an inch of the pin. Take my round nose pliers and go to the end of the pliers. Make sure there's no wire sticking out over here. Roll back a loop. Really careful here because you can really easily crack that little seed bead that's at the top. Make sure to get it closed well. My loops are not even with one another. And that loop up there is way too big. Let me see if I can fix this. I'm going to cut off just the tip of it. And I'm going to try to make my loop a little bit smaller. Yeah, that's better. Not perfect, but it's better. Now I'm gonna, I should have done this before I put the beads on the eye pin, but I always forget. I open this loop, thread on my little dangle. Close my loop back. It's really easy for that little seed bead to crawl down in there in your loop, so it would have been better if I had put this on the eye pin before I did the part up here, but I forgot. I always forget. Well, almost always. Now I'm going to take my ear wire, open it up, and thread on my little earring. There we go, got a little earring. Now I'm going to make the other one off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, there we go. A Lariat necklace and earrings made with the most recent bargain bead box, the Cloudburst collection. Like I said, if you are not subscribed to the box and you decide you want to be, that coupon code will save you $2 off your first box. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, hope you all have a great day. Take care.